Corona time, you in Singapore?
Singapore, yes, Singapore.
Stay where?
View dormitory, Tuas View dormitory.
Tuas View Dormitory?
Yes.
Okay, how long are you staying inside?
Corona inside, 4 months stay inside. After cannot go any place. After Corona finish, then working place go, then working finish come back home.
Okay, can go jalan-jalan?
No.
Like that good or not?
No choice. My supervisor, I follow my supervisor, I follow my boss. Boss say, then you go working place only. Working finish, then come back home. Like this.
Okay, so like that you like or not like?
I don't like, but no choice.
Okay.
In the minds of the Singapore public, the issue of migrant workers is often associated with COVID and the Little India riots. Can we address these issues?
It's interesting, isn't it? Migrant workers only come to our collective consciousness when there is a crisis.
Exactly. We put them out of our minds, even though they make up 1/3 of Singapore's working population. And because we pay attention only when there's a crisis, there's a tendency to see them as a threat.
Yeah, in the wake of the Little India riots in 2013, they became seen as threats to our peace and safety. And also during the pandemic, they were seen as contagion.
Both these crises came out of neglect. We house migrant workers in faraway dormitories, but we make no arrangement to provide them with sufficient public transport to get downtown. Prior to the Little India riots, private buses and lorries were the primary but unregulated means of transport. And Racecourse Road was jam-packed with vehicles parked higgledy-piggledy with a mad rush as the Sunday evening comes around and workers need to get back to the dorms.
An accident happened, didn't it?
Yes, it did. I think it was on the 8th of December 2013. And naturally, as we all know now, chaos ensued.
Yeah, and also after the Little India riots, the response was greater surveillance and banning the sale of liquor. And even with transport, why did it take a crisis to motivate action?
But COVID wasn't about transport.
No, it wasn't. But it was also about neglect. Years of neglect over their housing conditions.
Yeah, migrant workers are housed 12 to 16 men in a room.
That's true.
And when they feel sick, they don't dare to report it or see a doctor because they can't afford doctor's fees. And their boss may cancel their work permits if they fall sick too often. These are conditions that arise out of their disadvantaged positions.
And then when COVID hit, workers were not allowed to leave their dorm rooms for leisure for 2 whole years. And once again, it was a heavy-handed response. 2 whole years was 10 times longer than the lockdown period for the rest of us.
To be fair, after some mad scrambling, a proper primary health care plan was set up to make doctors' visits more affordable for migrant workers.
Yep,
that's good, but dorm standards have not improved in any significant way. They are still sleeping 12 men to a room, sometimes with poor ventilation. It's obvious that there still remains a lot of neglect. For example, food catering is a perennial source of unhappiness. There are serious doubts about nutritional quality and hygiene, but the authorities don't seem to be doing anything meaningful about it.
And then there are salary abuses, which are just as commonplace. There's also debt from recruitment fees, which is a source of much stress and anxiety. And in this area too, there's more neglect than action by the authorities.
Yep, exactly. And it's easy to think that because these guys need to come here to support their families, they will tolerate unfairness and poor treatment. Yes, they will tolerate until they simply can't tolerate it anymore.
This standard response of, surveillance, control and exclusion goes far beyond crisis points. It's an attitude that seeps into society's view of migrant workers.
In what ways, for example?
Well, it doesn't seem to trouble us if we're less than fair about their access to justice, their freedom of movement, living wage, or access to healthcare.
Yeah, basically when we start to think that exclusion is justified, when we start to see them as a different class of humans, it boomerangs back on us as a society. Our moral principles or even our sense of humanity are corroded. As Singaporeans, we don't look very good.
No, we don't.
Brother, you have any children in Bangladesh?
Yes, I have one son, one daughters.
Okay, next time when your son grow up, do you want him to come to working in Singapore?
can working, but construction, I'm working construction base so hard. My son can coming official job, anything can, okay.
Okay, so no construction job because hard, huh?
Construction job very hard.